Insurrectionists continue to be arrested and outed by friends and family via multiple different social media, but in this case, it was Facebook. So Gary Edwards, who's one of the January 6th rioters, has been outed not by his wife, but by one of his wife's friends on Facebook after she decided to talk about her husband's actions on that day. And so Gary is in front of a judge and he's facing his charges, and he was speaking about how ashamed he was of what he did. So let's jump into this from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Edwards said he stood at the National Mall rally for hours. Eventually, wearing a Make America Great ski cap, he walked toward the Capitol to eat his lunch and later saw the mob moving toward the building. I followed them, he told the judge. I'm not really sure why. I think it was just mostly out of curiosity. I'm curious, okay. Footage collected by the prosecutor shows that Edwards entered the breached Capitol around 3:01 p.m., and they're very specific, past broken windows and blaring alarms. There, he milled about in the halls, flushed tear gas from a fellow rioter's eyes, snapped photos, and stepped into the trashed office of Senator Jeff Merkley. So the way he was outed after all these things that he did on January 6th was, this is awesome. His wife posted, as I mentioned, about how her husband did all these things in her Facebook post, and this is what she wrote. Okay, ladies, let me tell you what happened as my husband was there inside the Capitol. This is Lynn Thaler Edwards. He followed a small group of young men dressed in military garb into the building after watching them break down police barricades, smash a window to climb inside, then break furniture on their way towards storming the upper floors. Edwards, she wrote, spent his time in the building helping to flush tear gas, as I mentioned, and also chatting amicably with police and singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Were the police joining in on that? Also, an anonymous tipster then, after all this revelations came, took a screenshot of the Facebook musings and forwarded them to agents in February. And then investigators later uncovered the social media photos and the video and security footage and corroborated all the information. So they didn't just take these women's words for granted off of a Facebook post. And Edwards' wife's account of his presence during that insurrection. They took all that together before they went ahead and arrested him. I guess Facebook isn't that safe to be talking about your criminal activity. I guess bank robbers should stop doing this too. It's just crazy.
I mean, it's a reminder that everyone says, be very careful who you accept as friends or who you are friends with on Facebook, because one day they're your friend, the next day they're really catty and mad that you're bragging about your husband going for a stroll while eating lunch and joining a mob. I mean, there's nothing people should like better than eating lunch and joining a group of sociopaths and storming the. Really? That detail needed to be in the criminal affidavit? Okay, well, in any case. So why would this wife be proud of her husband? Proud that he was, getting the tear gas out of the eyes of these insurrectionists, proud that he was not violent? He was still trespassing. She gave away the game. And obviously the wife has somebody out there who doesn't think that this was something to be proud of and said, okay, you wanna post this on social media? I'm gonna make sure that your husband gets arrested. And I mean, look, the way these things go, because the guy was nonviolent, he'll probably get plead guilty to a trespassing charge. He'll admit that he was there. He'll get probation, maybe an ankle bracelet, something like that. And he won't have to actually serve any time, as opposed to the people who were violent, who are getting time to think about things behind bars. But still, I mean, what a strange occurrence by the wife to think that this was something to be proud of.
Well, she thought it was, she was praising her husband, thinking she was proud of him, but then had no idea how this could even work, and then decided to maybe tamper down that story. Let's go to some of this, her response to how she helped bust her husband. Lynn Edwards, who was not in Washington on January 6th, she wants us to know that. I was not there on January 6th and has not been charged. She told the judge that her postings were not factual reports from her husband's time at the Capitol, but rather her, quote, expressing myself off the cuff while watching reports on OAN, which is One America News Network, conservative network there. And she also said to the judge, never in my life could I have dreamed that something I posted on Facebook would be used against my husband, would lead him to be arrested. Well, I'm sorry, Lynn. It's not because you posted it on Facebook that he got arrested. He got arrested because he did it. He got busted because you posted on Facebook. Never in your life would you imagine that you could post something and then get your husband busted. It's time to start asking him when he's saying, see you later, hun, can you drop me off at the airport? I'm just gonna go attack the Capitol with my fellow insurrectionists. That's when you maybe go, so let's not do that this time, because I can't help but to post it on Facebook, and then you know what happened last time.
Well, and we know everything we need to know about her cognitive abilities with the fact that she's watching One American News, OAN. Of course, she's gonna, be somewhat delusional and crazy because she's watching them. Of course, it's not gonna be her husband's fault that he trespassed. Of course, it's gonna be somebody else's fault because they ratted her out on Facebook. And then to deny it and say, "Oh no, I was just making up things on Facebook." Oh, come on. I mean, she ought to be put in jail. Never mind her husband. She ought to be put in jail for lying to the court.
Yeah, now you're lying, because that's the thing. Because it wasn't just because of your post. They got a lead from your post. Then they looked at footage. They looked at the process which you went through. They looked at other accounts. Sorry, what you said was backed up by events that they saw and corroborated. So you can honestly, at this point, you can go ahead and release some of the potential guilt you have for getting your husband busted. All you did was talk about it. They did the rest. He got himself busted. You were just on his side. When you posted it, did he say, "Hey, take that down, Len. Take that down"? No, it stayed up. Or maybe he didn't know, but it stayed up, and that's what happens. Also, to your point, David, Gary Edwards, the man here in this particular story, he was sentenced. This is his sentence to 1 year probation, 200 hours of community service, and he has to pay a fine of $2,500. So it's a bit of an expensive Facebook post.
Yeah, sounds about right. I guess, honey, we're not going to be taking a vacation next year because, well, $2,500 had to go because of your Facebook post. Way to go.
This is definitely the prime example. People like to say on Twitter and everything, delete your account. This is definitely when deletion of account should at least be considered.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.